Namaste. We've talked about the need to get back to the land. To Indians, it may seem that I'm urging you to become Shudras again. No, I'm not. There are many saints in India who have been farm laborers. Farm labor is not a diminished thing. It's a matter of your own consciousness. It's just that most people who work the farm are of a lower consciousness, Shuddha consciousness. But indeed, the importance of growing your own food now is becoming important. It'll be important to your survival. And it's a dignified work if you understand it scientifically and well. We need to show how there is a possibility through this new technology that is developing to bring lots of food out of a little bit of land. And when in this higher yuga, people won't be only farmers. This is the thing that makes it seem somewhat debasing. If you only work the soil, you don't have time to think, you don't have time to be advanced and so on. But with this new technology that is coming, people will be able to create food and so on, and then be able also to pursue higher things, education, learning, and so on. I remember, however, I was out at my guru's desert retreat one time, and he had us working in the garden, and he came out and worked with us a little bit, and I noticed that he panted, so I said, "Hot work, isn't it?" He looked at me quite sternly. He said, "It is good work." Well, it is good work. Don't get this prejudice against something that is necessary for you. You can't live without food. And you can do it yourself if you don't have to devote all your time to it. Everybody can have some time in the garden and also find time for meditation, find time for higher things. We're living in another age now. With more energy, it will be possible to bring all aspects of life and not chop them up as they have been in the past. So, we must above all understand that this world is not our home. We have to go beyond this world and go into the egoless state. And therefore, in this book, and I'm skipping several pages of it because it's all just text, but very interesting text, unfortunately. Therefore, I urge you to get the book and read it. What is the ego? Imagine the moon reflected in many vessels of water. Each vessel contains the same reflection, yet seems in each of them to be individual. When we look up at the sky, however, we see that the reflections are all of the same one moon. At the same time, they may also differ from one another. For example, if the water in one vessel is agitated, or if it contains floating debris, or is colored differently, the soul of every human being reflects the same bliss of spirit. But because that bliss is reflected in the individual ego, its appearance and character may seem greatly altered. If a mind is restless, its natural bliss will be distorted. If greatly distorted, it may even appear as suffering and pain. To the degree also that one's feelings contain the debris of desires and attachments, the actual bliss reflected by the ego will be distorted, though the distortion is only in the reflection. If one's awareness is colored, moreover, as water's surface may be, by prejudices, likes and dislikes, and mistaken notions, these hues too will affect the clarity of one's understanding and underlying soul bliss, which otherwise would shine clearly in one's consciousness. Indeed, spiritual progress consists not in actually achieving anything, but in simply removing the distortions which obscure the nature of reality. All those distortions are contained in the confused reflections we produce of the true bliss of our own being. In the end, when we offer up our little reflection to the moon itself, we find that in that transcendent bliss, even our old and seemingly discarded ego remains always with us, as a deathless memory. And I've mentioned this before, even after you attain complete freedom from ego, even after you merge into God and become God, there is in omniscience still that memory of having been whatever person you were over your many, many incarnations. And that memory keeps you not apart from God because you are God, you're He, you're one with Him. But yet it separates you enough to be able to come back to this world, to appear to your devotees if they pray to you, and to help this world as an avatar, and to bring you notice that the avatars they're not just incarnations of God, they're incarnations of a particular soul. And so each one has a very similar destiny, similar nature. For example, my guru said that Lahiri Mahashai, my Param Guru, was in a former life Raja Janaka. And he said that Babaji is Krishna. He said he himself was Arjuna. Well, Janaka was a distinct person. He was a king, worked in the world, lived in the world, but was completely absorbed in God. So was Lahiri Mahashai. Yogananda had to be a warrior in many lives. He was Arjuna, he was William the Conqueror, he was possibly Fernando III in Spain, who helped to drive the Moors out of Spain. And in this life too, he had a very warrior-like consciousness. It was so sweet also. But really, he was an amazing person. I lived with him 3.5 years, and I can tell you, I've never met anyone to even hold a match to him. So, but yet he was always himself. That's what makes me wonder if he may not have been Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ driving those money changers out of the temple, answering those Pharisees with so much power, he had great power. He was not by any means what people have said, gentle Jesus, meek and mild. Not at all. That's why they crucified him. If he'd been meek and mild, they wouldn't have bothered. But they couldn't take his power. So when you come back from your oneness with God, you too will be yourself. But you will be also one with God. It will be God using you as an instrument and bringing whatever power you have into the world. An avatar has the power to save countless, thousands, even millions of people. He does it as when my guru was taken as a little baby to his mother's guru, Lahiri Mahashai. Lahiri Mahashai said, "Your son will be a yogi, and he will take many, like a train, a locomotive. He will carry many souls to God's kingdom." Well, these things happen also through their disciples. The guru can't live many years. Jesus lived only 33 years. Shankaracharya, I think it was 32. Yogananda, 59. They many times, when they finish their mission, they leave. They don't need to be around here. But they have to carry it on through their disciples. So it says in the Bible that Jesus did not initiate people personally. He left that job to his disciples. And Yogananda left this initiation usually to me and to a few other people. And he, through us, can help other people. But it's his power, not ours. And this is the important point to understand. He remains the guru in that sense, that he is the power behind that message that he brought. I am only his humble representative. I have no right in my own to do anything, but as his representative, I feel his power there, and I know that anything I put my mind to, I couldn't do it, but he could do it through me. So this is the importance of guru and disciple, and it becomes particularly noted when that guru is an avatar. You will find that his power can help you to bring salvation to other people and to many people down the line for thousands of years. Thus, Krishna in India is still considered by many people their guru. He's really their Adi Guru. They need a living guru. My guru told me you have to have a living guru. And you have to have met him at least once. There has to be that physical transfer of power. That is not the dogma in my guru's organization. But what can I say when he told me this personally? I asked him one time, what about in that chapter in the autobiography of a yogi, when he in the chapter the two penniless boys in Vrindavan, and he met that young man who became his disciple and took Kriya from him while he was in Vrindavan, just before he got on the train to come back to Agra, where his brother was staying. And you don't hear anything more about that young man. And I asked my guru, have you heard from him? And he said, no, but inwardly he has kept in touch. But that touch was necessary. And Krishna was the one who told him to go to Yogananda to receive that. Krishna appeared to him in vision and said, go to him. So you will see that this truth must be passed on personally by a touch. It isn't, some people say, well, you may have had that touch in another life. That isn't the way my guru expressed it. He said there must be that touch in this life. And therefore, it is my duty to help people in his name. It is the duty of other people who come after me to help other people in his name. Never to think you are the doer, but he can do marvelous things through you. So anyway, with the yugas, you've come up into Dwapara Yuga now, and you find people now amazingly, just in 1 century, how much people have advanced. And this same consciousness, it will be very, very different in another few thousand years. This yoga will go up and down and up and down. I asked my guru once, will the same people come back to this world in Satya Yuga who are in this world now? And he said, no, I've told you, there are many, many planets to go to. Then he said something very interesting. He said, otherwise, they would find out too soon. Does this mean God doesn't want us to find him? It's a very mysterious play that we have here. But the truth is, of course he wants us to. His love is there. He wants us to come back, but he wants us to want it too. He wants to be sure that we're coming back to him because we want him and not because we're just tired of it all. We've seen it all before. And so when he said they would find out too soon, if you kept coming back to the same planet, you'd begin to feel that it's something you know. You've had it. You don't want anything more. You want variety. He doesn't want you to seek him for that reason. And so you will go to many, many planets, and you've come from many planets. This universe is teeming with life. But nowadays, more and more, there's even some serious thought that there may be life on the moon, maybe underground, life on Mars, maybe underground. But it's really quite amazing the kind of world and universe that will be opening up to us as we advance into this age. In the higher yugas, people live at peace with one another. You know, warfare will continue even into Treta Yuga. I know a master said that after this particular period of trial that we're going through, people will be so sick of war, there won't be another war for another 300 years. He said he would come back in 200 years. And Ramakrishna said he would come back in 300, which means they're coming close at the same time, even as they did in this incarnation. But the return to this earth of these great masters comes at a time when they are needed again. And after 300 years, these things will change and warfare will continue. Man somehow seems to have it up his nose that he likes to destroy. It's a pity. But man himself, in a sense, is a pity. Anyway, in the higher ages of Treta Yuga, then there is no more war. There is no war in Satya Yuga or Krita Yuga either. But Rama was born in descending Treta Yuga. And Rama, in that yuga, still had to go to war. And there were much greater problems than there could be now, because when there is a higher consciousness, there's also much greater capacity for evil and violence. So don't think that you will finally sit it out long enough to be able to turn to God and to find him. You'll never get out of it this way. You must make that decision now. And although in Kali Yuga very few people attain that, in Treta Yuga and many more, in Satya Yuga many more people attain that state, nonetheless, the possibility of finding it even in the darkest age is always there. There are always saints in this universe. And as I said before, there are universes, whole galaxies, that are mostly tamasic, or mostly rajasic, or mostly sattvic. You have to remember that even sattva will not give you God. You have to go beyond the ego. The ego is sattvic. The sattvic ego is still ego. You have to go beyond that and realize that he is doing it all. He is the doer. And the more you let him act through you, the more you will find that everything you try to do is free and beautiful. I've emphasized this several times, and I want to do it again. Letting God be the doer doesn't make you passive. You will find rather that if you feel in tune with him and let him act through you, that everything you try to do will be a success. Everything will be much, much better. You will be able to succeed at anything you try if you let him work through you. But this does not mean passively just say, here I am, God, do it. Man has to act on God's behalf to make this a world worth living in. You have to be his channel. We're living now at a time when there's a war between the angels and the darkened spirits. We have to fight on the part of the angels. When you do that, you will find freedom. Joy to you.